My name is Achim Mortsiefer. I am working as a GP in Cologne, Germany, and I'm also a professor of general practice at the Witten-Herdecke University. So I would like to welcome our speaker, Karen Voigt, who will introduce herself in detail a little more later on. And yeah, let me say a few words to the, let's spend a few words to our Deprescribing network in Germany that we founded in 2023. It's a cooperation of researchers from general practice, clinical pharmacology, and geriatrics. So our initial goals were scientific exchange and networking. We have no funding yet for that network, but we have currently applied for network funding from the German Research Foundation. We work together with other Deprescribing networks and are well delighted to be hosting the International Journal Club today. So, yes, I would like to hand over to our network chair, Petra Thürmann. Petra.
Yes, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. A warm welcome from myself. My name is Petra Thürmann, as you've seen, and I'm the chair of clinical pharmacology at the University of Witten-Herdecke in Germany. Well, as I'm cooperating with Achim, I'm interested in geriatric clinical pharmacology, everything about drug treatment in the older adults. I was the one who did the German Priscus list together with some of the people I've seen here today already in the meeting. And since many, many years, I'm a member of the Geriatric Committee of the International Union of Basic and Clinical Pharmacology. And I think most of you will know Sarah Hilmer in terms of geriatric drug treatment and the drug burden index and also deprescribing. Achim just told you that in Germany, our network is quite young and it is growing. However, we did already, even in Germany, some deprescribing studies or quite some trials for optimization of pharmacotherapy in older adults, sometimes in ambulatory care, but also I was involved quite in a number of trials to make drug treatment safer in nursing homes, also cooperating with persons from departments of nursing care and nursing science. I think our most recent study was the CoFrail study, where we aimed to deprescribe in ambulatory care with family conferences where Achim was the chair. And we are very happy to be with you here today, and we are all so very happy to be now in the international network. We are also in our meetings planning the ICOT 2026 in Montreal, and we are going to talk about that at the end. Well, now I'm very happy to have our speaker, Karen Voigt, and I have to mention and tell you that you should be that it should be clear that we are recording this journal club session, and all the information about the recording will be on the Deprescribing Network webpage from the Canadian colleagues. And it would be very nice if you allow for a high audio quality and mute your microphones when you are just not talking. And one of the main reasons that we are going to record it is that, as you know, for some people on this planet, this time of the meeting is not very convenient, and we want to let them also participate. So now, Karen, it is yours.
Thank you very much. And I will share my slides. Okay. So hopefully you can see the presentation modus. Yes. Okay, that's great. So thank you for invitation. I feel very honored to present our project results to this international community. It's just a small project, but maybe it is of interest for you. So I hope so. So we really appreciate to discuss the findings and ideas with you, as we are in an ongoing research process and further research is planned. I will tell you at the end of my presentation. So these are the aims of the session you already know. Before I start with the presentation, I would like to briefly describe my possible conflicts of interest and will introduce myself with this slide. So I'm employed as a researcher in the Department of General Practice at the Technical University of Dresden. And we do research projects financed by public third-party funding bodies like ministries or foundations. I'm member of some boards of the Saxon Society for General Practice, as well as the German Society. And this could be a conflict of interest. I'm also spokesperson or speaker for the DGAMS section, Guidelines and Quality Promotion. And I'm author and coordinator of German DGAM guidelines focusing treatment or management of thyroid diseases in primary care. So my background, I'm a researcher, I'm a sociologist and health scientist. I'm not a GP or a physician. So then let's start with the contents of the presentation. This is the agenda for today. So I want to introduce you to the DELTA-PIA team because the results I will present are not my results. These are results of a great project team, and I will show you. So at the main part, I will introduce you to the DELTA-PIA project, starting with the background, objectives, methods, and then showing you the main results of our research. And then I will give you an outlook of our planned study, DELTA-RCT. So then let's go. Let's go to Europe and Germany. We are from a federal state, or we come from a federal state of the eastern part of Germany called Saxony, and our universities of the teams are located in the two biggest cities of Saxony, in Leipzig and Dresden. And these are our two local teams of the study. The team from Leipzig with Professor Blackwan and Tobias Deutsch, Anne-Kathrin Geier and Melanie Rennert. And from Dresden, my colleagues Janine Schüpel, Sandy Scheibe, and our study assistant Martina Botur. And I'm happy I saw in the room of Zoom there is also Sandy. And I also saw a colleague from Leipzig, and I also, this is really great, I also saw a GP who participated in our study. So he is in the audience today. This is really nice. So welcome. Okay, so first I would like to explain the background of the DELTA-PIA study. My colleague Janine and me, we are authors of the clinical guideline focusing the management of elevated TSH values in GP care. It's a consensus-based guideline, and we analyzed evidence from original studies and also from guidelines from English-speaking countries as well as from the Netherlands, because it's written in Dutch and we could understand it. The guideline, the short version of the guideline is also translated into English. If you are interested, you can find it at the CADeN database. Concerning the management of hypothyroidism, especially focusing the administration of levothyroxine, there are recommendations for cautious administration of levothyroxine, especially in patients with subclinical hypothyroidism. And these recommendations you can see are of interest. In summary, these are non-recommendations in case of slightly elevated TSH for subclinical thyroidism. And there is also one recommendation that is a kind of deprescribing recommendation in case of a long-term therapy with an unclear indication in patients. In contrast to these recommendations and to the guideline and to the evidence, we have the prescription reality. So there's an increase of prescribing hormones, levothyroxine, but at the one hand, and at the other hand, we have stable incidences of overt hypothyroidism. What is the indication, or what is a clear indication for giving hormones or for prescribing hormones? And therefore, we can assume that there is an overtherapy with levothyroxine in Germany. Internationally, so let's look beyond the German horizon. And internationally, there are similar experiences and also recommendations in the guidelines of US guidelines, the guideline of Netherlands, and so on. And also, I brought you two systematic reviews, one from Beckering, who also concluded, based on the systematic review of 21 trials, that there is, sorry, I can't see the there is a strong recommendation against thyroid hormones in adults with subclinical thyroidism and hypothyroidism, sorry, and also the Burgers and colleagues and their colleagues also concluded, based on a systematic review, that based on low quality evidence, they suggest that deprescribing levothyroxine could be successful. So these are only two examples. And now let's go back to Germany. So we have this guideline, we have these recommendations, but we have a lack of information. Because we have no deprescribing strategies to implement the recommendations. So the question for our GPs is how to implement deprescribing in GP practice. Are there suitable deprescribing strategies, and how to deal with uncertainties and patients' worries? And as well, more questions: which patients will benefit and which maybe do not benefit? And what are specific facilitators or barriers when discontinuing levothyroxine? So we have still no answers in Germany, and we also did we did analysis of the original studies from other countries and find no answers on these questions, on these specific questions. So based on this gap, we drafted and submitted an application to the German Ministry of Research in Germany, and we had these two main objectives we described in the application. First, we want to develop a deprescribing strategy in a participatory manner together with the affected patients and GPs and maybe other healthcare professionals that are involved in the treatment of these patients. And furthermore, we wanted to develop a study design, maybe an RCT, based on the results of the first main objective, that examines the efficacy of deprescribing interventions compared to usual care, and again using a participatory approach to increase acceptance and feasibility for the further research. So this, when we started, so we got the grant for 12 months, and when we started in December 23, we had some preliminary considerations concerning the participatory approach in clinical research in primary care. So there were questions how to involve stakeholders, which methods should we choose, it was really helpful to have an interdisciplinary research team, including GPs, including also healthcare professionals, including also psychologists, sociologists, health scientists, to bring the expertise regarding methodological and theoretical perspectives together. And then we developed the methods of the DELTA-PIA project, or the study design of DELTA-PIA. And DELTA-PIA is focused on planning a study. So first we discussed together with stakeholders the problems, the possible solutions of the problems, and we discussed the development, or we developed the study design together. So our intention was to co-design the deprescribing intervention, as well as to co-design the study design, including perspectives of all persons involved. So this was our work plan from the application that was approved. And you can see at the colored boxes which methods we chose. So the orange box describes the focus groups we wanted to conduct, and we also did. The focus groups are guideline-based moderated group discussions in or with homogeneous and also heterogeneous groups. Sometimes we had only groups with patients, and the other group with physicians, and in the next step we brought them together, so we had a mixed group of stakeholders. So the topics for the focus groups were to explore barriers, enablers from different perspectives, who is involved in the treatment process besides patients, GP and endocrinologists, who may influence on prescribing or deprescribing behaviors. Then, based on the results of the focus group, we did intensive workshops with the same groups at Leipzig and at Dresden in the different locations. And the workshops were also guideline-based and moderated, and there we worked in small groups, often small homogeneous groups, patients, physicians, GPs, and as well we brought them together in the whole heterogeneous group. And we used prioritization methods. We worked on whiteboards, flip charts, handouts, so very intensive for all. And the topics were how to increase acceptance of levothyroxine deprescribing, what are important patient-reported outcome measures for the intervention, for deprescribing, as well as for the further study. And what about the study design? Which kind of study would be feasible for the GPs, especially, but also for the patients? What about primary, secondary outcomes, facilitators, motivation, benefits for GPs to participate in the study? So this was very important for the methodological development. And then we did we also did in this yellow box part, we also did additional telephone interviews, like I mentioned, also with endocrinologists. We blend with pharmacists, and we asked the participants of the focus groups which healthcare professionals are important, who is influencing maybe the prescribing behavior. And based on this, we had some other professionals we also included. I will tell you or show you later on. So based on the intensive workshops and the focus groups, we did synthesis workshops there. This was also again a workshop type where we brought the Leipzig and Dresden teams and groups together. So we had separated Leipzig-Dresden workshops with the intensive workshops, and with the synthesis workshops, we brought them together in a digital way using Zoom. And in these workshops, we developed parts of the intervention as well as parts of the study design. So I start with the results. First, the sample description. We had 17 patients, 17 GPs, and 2 medical assistants of GP practice that participated in the different groups and workshops. They were not present at all, but the 17 is the summary of all that participated. And as well, we did 11 interviews with endocrinologists like planned, but also this was a result of this participation approach. We also did telephone interviews with alternative natural health practitioners. In German, the name is Heilpraktiker. It's a special kind of healthcare professional in Germany. I think I don't know about these in other countries, and but they are important for the patients or for some patients, and furthermore, also dietitians are important and also consult regarding thyroid disease. So this was really a learning process for us. So this was new for us. So. And now I start to show you the results of the different steps of research we did. So the results of the focus group showed us the facilitators and barriers of deprescribing. And regarding the facilitators, you can see on the top of both persons, one is a physician, a GP, and the other one is a patient. So, and you can see there were benefits described by both patients and GPs as well, such as the reduction of side effects, reduction of pill burden, and reduction of financial burden, like patients have less co-payment for medication if they don't take the levothyroxine they maybe don't need anymore, and also time-saving benefits. Then we had facilitators only described by the GP, and this was the evaluation of GP that the depathologization of patients are benefits that may improve patients' quality of life because he or she is no longer in the role of a patient. So this, yes, this was described by the GP, and the patients described one benefit that they have less planning and organization regarding taking the levothyroxine in the morning, and this would also improve quality of life for them. So, and then what were the barriers of deprescribing? In that there we had different descriptions. The GP reported that deprescribing requires more time in the short term. So they have to explain why to discontinue levothyroxine, and this would take time. But they also stated their own uncertainty because a lack of expertise regarding deprescribing. And they consented that they only would start a deprescribing with highest starting dosage at 75 microgram. And yes, and they also described, many of the participants of the GP described the patient's resistance as a barrier. And patients reported worries about returning symptoms, maybe by deprescribing, the fear of change and uncertainty about changes in the medication strategy. So these were the focus group results, and based on this, we discussed and developed the intervention, and the result of this workshop discussions were that it is very important that we should focus on the consultation in the whole intervention or whole deprescribing process. It should be a shared decision-making process, and it's important to give enough information to the patient to increase acceptance and also the adherence of the deprescribing. So, and also it's important to develop a strategy for the GPs and that should include also characteristics of patients who are suitable for discontinuation, who will benefit, who not, when to start with deprescribing, who should be informed about the deprescribing, not only the patient, also other healthcare professionals. And patients wish a deprescribing plan for themselves to see, I'm at this stage and now I have the control, or I have to do this and I will document this. And yeah. Important also the third point, the medical controls that should accompany the whole deprescribing process to get safety, to see if there are changes, if the TSH value is fine or maybe is increasing, and then you need the fourth point, exit strategies, and they should be also very clear described in the intervention. And also important controls after success of deprescribing. If the process of deprescribing is finished and the patient is fine and the TSH value is also fine, so what will be happen after this end, or after this point? Do they need controls? Which time should the control take place, and so on? There are also questions regarding this debriefing part of a deprescribing intervention. And then this is one part of our deprescribing strategy. We will put in the study design. This is from the study flow. So we developed together with the patients and GPs this design that we have 3 groups. We have 2 intervention groups. So based on the participatory approach of our study, we decided that we will have one group with an intervention that means a deprescribing intervention step by step, not to go from the start dosage to 0, but to go from the start dosage of 50 microgram or 25 microgram to the next. And we decided together with the participants to reduce step by step from 50 to 25 and then to 0. So intervention group 2 is the group where we will reduce from the start dosage 50 or 25 to 0. And then the control group is the Carus usual group. So they get their medication like they get. Yes, and now finally, want to give you some information about our further research plans. We are currently translating the results from the DELTA-PIA into the development of the trial. This will be a non-inferiority trial as a double-blinded RCT, and we will apply it to the German Ministry of Research. There are a lot of challenges. Some of them we already could clarify, but some of them are still work in progress. But we are optimistic that we will solve these problems and submit the application on time. So hopefully I'm also on time. I thank you very much for your attention. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. You may see. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to discuss with you the different questions you maybe have. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this very nice presentation and showing all the, well, really all I think almost all pitfalls one could experience, and so much love for the detail. Now this paper is open for discussion, and you may either write your questions into the chat, or you may also raise your hand. There is one question in the chat.
What were the TSH that indicate the patient should continue? Okay, yeah.
Can you read it? Yeah.
Yeah. I read it. Yes, for the typically subclinical hypothyroidism, there are no symptoms because it's subclinical. So, and if there are symptoms, then you have to check if there is more than a subclinical hypothyroidism. So, and if the TSH is higher than 10 in the younger patients, younger than 75, if it's higher, then the recommendation is to give the levothyroxine, or to talk with the patient and then to decide together with the patient if he or she would like to take the levothyroxine or maybe not. So, and here in patients 65, we typically treat if TSH over 10 and or symptomatic. Okay, so we found evidence when we drafted the guideline that you have age-specific reference values of the TSH, and if the patient is older than 75, you can also you have a reference value of TSH at 20. So until 20 microunit per liters, you can decide together with the patient not to give levothyroxine if the free hormones are in the reference values. This is important. So it has to be a subclinical hypothyroidism. Thank you for the question.
There's another question, a hand raised from Spiridula Maraka.
Hello, thank you so much for the great presentation and congratulations on your project. I have two questions. One is for the RCT that you are proposing for your application. And I'm sorry if I missed that. Is your group going to be patients with subclinical hypothyroidism, that you're going to stop the levothyroxine, so you will have confirmed that they had subclinical hypothyroidism.
Yes, yes.
And for that, are you going to have patients, like how are you going to define subclinical hypothyroidism?
Sorry, how to find them in the...
How you will define. In other words, they were started on levothyroxine for subclinical hypothyroidism. That means that they had at some point one elevated TSH and normal 3T4, or you required that they had 2 high TSHs before they were started on levothyroxine. That's my question.
Okay, I see my colleague from Leipzig want to support. So maybe Sarah, you want to answer this question, or?
Yeah. Hi everybody. I'm Sarah. I'm actually specialized in internal medicine, but I'm working as a GP in Leipzig, and I'm also part of a researcher at the University of Leipzig. And I think it's important to understand that in Germany, I don't know how it's in Canada, but in Germany, it has been not the guideline, but kind of common practice to start treatment with L-thyroxine as soon as the TH value is elevated. So there are many patients in Germany. It's like, I don't know why it's like this. It's like maybe like a historical development, but as soon as most general practitioners in Germany see elevated TSH value, they start prescribing thyroxine. And we have this guideline for quite some time, and in the endocrinological guidelines, we have these recommendations even much longer, I think already for around 15 years or something, that if the TSH value is only moderately elevated, and if the patient does not have symptoms, then you don't have to treat them. But this is not what the common practice has been. And this is why we have this huge amount of patients who have thyroxine in a very low dosage. They have like 25 micrograms or 50 micrograms, which is not a sufficient dosage. So if you see somebody who's taking L-thyroxine for 20 years with 25 micrograms, you have to question why is this patient taking this? And it doesn't make sense. But it's not in the common knowledge of general practitioners in Germany for whatever reason. And this study aims, so we don't know if the patients had symptoms. Most patients probably take it because they had a TSH value of 6. And this is why they got it in the first place. And this is not according to the guidelines. So this study kind of aims to actually try to implement the guidelines in the general practice.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. So I work in US at the Central Arkansas VA and University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences. And we actually did like a pilot study similar to that. We're ready to publish our results. And the interesting part for us, it was the same thing. Like we included patients who had subclinical hypothyroidism, but we didn't require that this was confirmed with more. Just one blood test was enough before they were starting levothyroxine. And the interesting part is that in the pilot, the patients who were randomized to placebo, we had the vast majority, actually 6 months after, remained euthyroid. So then it's interesting how you interpret the results, because like, our conclusion was, yeah, quality of life didn't change before they were taking levothyroxine after they stopped. But you can argue with me, well, they were having normal thyroid function. So does this apply to patients who remain subclinical hypothyroid when they are on the placebo? I hope you follow what I'm saying. So, and of course, we didn't have way to see that because it was a pilot, so it was very small like there were only, if I remember, 7 patients who remained subclinical hypothyroid on the placebo. So we couldn't conclude, but that might be something you want to take into account in your trial design.
Yeah, we also found your study protocol, and we are really interested in your results. Hopefully they will publish soon.
Yeah, like we actually had submitted, and got the reviewers' comments, and I'm planning to resubmit. So hopefully in a month or two should have it out finally.
Okay,
yeah.
so this meeting today makes really sense. Round the globe networking.
So there are some more questions in the chat, I guess.
Yes.
So about the role of the dietitian, yes. I don't know, Sandy, maybe you want to answer because you analyzed the interviews of the dietitians.
Yes, I can do so. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sandy Scheiber, and I'm a research associate at the Technical University Dresden. And together with two colleagues, I worked in the project DELTA-PIA. And the interviews with the dietitians, they told us that they are not really involved in the process of deprescribing, because also the Heilpraktiker, I don't know the really word, they can't do anything when it comes to deprescribing. So, but they told us that they give the Empfehlung. They give the recommendation to patients that they should eat very clean. So, for example, they don't, or they should focus on Lebensmittel. Das ist weg. They should focus on meals which are very rich of iodine, for example, on fish or mussels or something like that. And there are also some herbal or some herbs they should or that they could take for their thyroid. Yes, that were the major results of the interviews with the dietitians. Karen, do you have something to add?
No, I think it's fine. Thank you. I was reading the question, I'm sorry, in the chat, so of course there are one more. But it was really interesting to have these additional interviews with dietitians as well with the alternative professionals because they consult the patients regarding thyroid diseases, and they also recommend to ask the GP. The patients should ask the GP to prescribe or to deprescribe the levothyroxine. So they have a kind of influence on the patients, and this was very interesting to understand, because we had this knowledge not when we planned the study. So these are also important healthcare professionals we should include in the whole process. So this was the result of one result of the interviews. And there is another question in the chat from Amberly Carrier regarding the mood as a withdrawal symptom. In the RCT, we have to report all symptoms that may be observed in the patients. So also the symptoms concerning the mood. So we will document this as well, and then we maybe see if this is a withdrawal symptom or not. So.
Okay, there's one more raised hand from Sarah Düring.
Yes, I also just wanted to add to the dietary assistance, because I think it doesn't make sense if you don't know the structures in Germany. But many patients where you want to deprescribe the L-thyroxine, they are very afraid of weight gain. And also many patients take L-thyroxine in low dosages because they find very quickly that it helps them with their weight. so that they stay slim. And of course, if you want to start a practice of deprescribing, many patients will be very afraid about their weight. And in Germany, we have a system of like normal medicine, or the like academic medicine, and then we have like alternative medicine, and this actually derives still from the Nazi time, where this also, even before in Germany, has always been this two branches, and many patients see like an academic general GP, and then they also go to, for example, to an alternative Heilpraktiker. And these people have big influence on this decision, and this is why it's important to consult them, and because if they see a dietary assistant and she tells you have to take the L-thyroxine because otherwise you're going to gain weight, then the patients are less likely to stick to the protocol.
Okay,
This
thank
is,
you.
This is the background for this.
Yeah, German healthcare system. I think there's again a comment from the US.
Yes. I just had I have time. One more question about the results of the workshop. So it was nice that you saw that the barriers and facilitators from a patient perspective, physician perspective regarding the prescribing. And then you had another slide where you were talking about strategies for the deprescribing. That was like the preparation phase, the implementation, and debriefing. So could you comment more on that, like a bit of more information about, what kind of like strategies exactly they came up, or are you planning to test these strategies?
Yes, there are different stages for the deprescribing strategy. At the beginning, you need the consultation between the GP and the patient. And in the project, we learned from the GPs they need a study, or not a study, they need deprescribing material for consultation to have arguments they can bring to the patient. So this is one point, and we developed together with the participants for the different stages what to do, how to do, and also for the implementation of the deprescribing after consultation. If the patient decided to deprescribe, then to start, and then to also control. And this is your questions, I guess. Then to start with the deprescribing, maybe step by step, and after 6 to 8 weeks to control the TSH value. In the study, we will do it after 10 to 12 weeks to have more tolerance for the study. But in the deprescribing strategy, we will recommend to control after 6 to 8 weeks, because the TSH will change in this time. So, and then depending on the steps the patients choose for deprescribing, if they go from 50 to 25 to 0, then you will have the according controls of the TSH. And in the study, and as well in the deprescribing strategy, we will recommend an additional control of TSH after 6 months after the final point when the patient finished the deprescribing successfully. Then after 6 months, again, a control.
Yeah, thank you. I see one more raised hand from Camille.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Voigt, for this presentation, such a current topic, very relevant. And one question I have is maybe system related. I'm wondering, you indicated that endocrinologists were part of your focus groups discussions. how common is it that an endocrinologist would be a prescriber in this context? Here, I'm in Canada, I didn't mention it, but it's it's rare that patients would see an endocrinologist for this health issue, which is mostly managed by general practitioners. So was that mentioned as a barrier for GPs to intervene in a prescription that was initiated by an endocrinologist? And what strategies have you identified to follow up on the previous question to overcome this barrier?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. Yeah, the German healthcare system is, I guess, quite different from the Canadian. GPs as well as endocrinologists can prescribe the levothyroxine. But we did not include the endocrinologists in the focus groups. We had only the qualitative interviews, telephone interviews with them. So this is one point, the question is really important because there are difficulties in the interprofessional management of patients in Germany. So sometimes the GP prescribes the medication in a special dosage, and maybe the patient goes to the endocrinologist, and then there will be a change of the dosage. And and this would be also important for the study and for deprescribing in general. We need a kind of deprescribing information card or something like this, where the patient can show, I'm in a deprescribing project or intervention. Please do not change please do not change the medication. So yes, it is a barrier, and we need a very good interprofessional or interdisciplinary exchange between the healthcare professionals, and we need this kind of study card or information, or I don't know, I think a small card maybe. Also, if the patients go to the dietitian, to the alternative healthcare professionals, and maybe other physicians if they are involved in the treatment. Yeah, geriatrics.
Yes, and as we can read in the comment from the US, that it's a surprise that the psychiatrists push the GPs to maintain L-thyroxine. So it's really an interplay between GPs and specialists all over the world, apparently. I can't see any more questions. Thank you very much for this very nice and informative talk and your lively discussions. And I'm happy to hand over to Achim again.
Okay, so thank you very much, dear Karen, for your very interesting presentation. And we are keen to hear from your results of your planned RCT. Our next session, the next session of the International Journal Deprescribing Journal Club will be, you find it at the homepage, Deprescribing Network CA. Please reply to the survey, and we have take your time to reply here. Be very nice that we can check whether we meet your expectations. And by the way, we are very happy to announce that the third international conference on deprescribing is in plan. Planning starts. That it will be happen in Canada in spring 26. And Camille, she smiled a little bit because I don't know if you want to spend a few words on the plans, and when maybe you can mention the date so we can make a save the date for us.
Yeah, thank you. So we're so excited to have announced the final dates, and my colleague Nin has just put a link in the chat. So if you want to actually view it and access that webpage, the dates are April 27 to April 29, 2026. So in 11 months from now, we hope to welcome you à Montréal, so in Canada. So we're very excited about this. On the webpage that was just shared, there's a way for you to add a hold in your calendar so that you have those dates marked. So it's there. It's easy to add. And then we invite you to follow the network to be kept apprised of informed of the call for abstracts. So we're very excited to be getting work from all over the world, from all spheres of science, really. We're looking to really showcase a diversity of projects and initiatives. And then later on, registration information. So this should come in the next few months. So stay tuned. Thank you for this opportunity to share.
Okay, thank you very much. So have a nice weekend, and goodbye to everyone all over the world. We hope we can continue our collaboration on different kinds of research on deprescribing. This is very important for us all. And so take care and goodbye, and see you in Montreal next year.